Hi, and welcome to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce Member Connection. I am Eric Knowles, but before we get started, a word from one of our supporters.
This is garbage, and you probably think all of it just goes to waste. But in Miami-Dade, we convert most of what you throw away into energy. In our waste-to-energy facility, we can turn about 90% of your everyday garbage into reusable fuel that creates clean electricity for our community. Enough energy to power 35,000 homes. Pretty illuminating, huh? In Miami-Dade, nothing goes to waste.
Hi, and welcome back to the Member Connection. Yeah, I'm that excited guy that's sitting in this seat talking about some exciting things, and this is really exciting. Some of you probably have thought about it, wondered how you can get into it, but here we got somebody here today to tell you all about it. Mr. Campbell, how are you?
Good. How are you
Andre,
doing? Great.
great man. The franchise executive.
Sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Where are you from, first of all?
Born and raised in New York, but then basically spent most of my time down here in South Florida.
Okay.
So I've in Broward County. So I'm pretty much a Floridian.
Okay. And doing a little reading, I think your your background is finance.
That is correct. That is correct. Started in the financial industry, services industry. I was a financial advisor with Edward Jones and Merrill Lynch.
Okay.
And I started back in 2009, actually.
Okay.
Anyone that knows that, the crisis of 2008, and I was actually doing investment sales in 2009, and it was a really, really tough time. But I learned to be resilient, and it taught me a lot about the business and a lot about being a good entrepreneur.
Right.
So it was a great opportunity.
Yeah, I heard something a few days ago, and I know I'm not saying it quite right, but basically saying that people who are successful, they know how to make it through the tough times, because tough times are going to come regardless. You're going to find situations that you may think that, you're not going to get out of it, but you can't give up.
Exactly.
So like you said, starting out in 2009, right at the height of the crash and the financial crisis. So you made it through that. And how did you, as I was introducing, we all see these franchises out here. I throw one out. I go to Smoothie King all the time.
Right.
And obviously it's pretty successful franchise, and then obviously the big ones that we talk about, the Burger Kings, the McDonald's of the world.
Right.
Talk about franchise, and how did you get into the business?
So basically, as a financial advisor, one of the things that I was doing is that I wanted to basically own my own business.
Okay.
Being a financial advisor, you do own your own clients and your books to a certain degree, but you don't necessarily own the business.
Right.
And I wanted to get into that. I've always been an entrepreneur since day one.
Okay.
So what I started doing was looking at opportunities to own businesses. I'd owned independent businesses in the past. However, I knew that franchising was going to give me kind of the playbook that I needed in order to be successful. So I started researching different areas. And one of the areas that came up was property and casualty insurance.
Okay.
I thought it was a great industry. It's a good in terms of long-term longevity. I then acquired a Brightway Insurance in Parkland, Florida. Acquired that. We actually moved that. It was in Fort Lauderdale at the time, moved it to Parkland, hired staff, and then I learned that business. I grew that business for about 4 years, and then I sold it.
Okay.
And then that was my first taste of franchising, and I loved it because you weren't operating by yourself. You also had a team, you had a support of the franchisor, which is basically kind of the corporate office individuals that are helping you to be successful. What I did from there is that I was looking for other franchises, and then I went into a swimming pool franchise.
Okay.
Because I got a little bit more adventurous. A totally different industry, totally different business. It took a little bit longer to learn that.
Right.
Got into that, and then I decided that it wasn't going to be the best for me, so I learned that. So from there,
not to cut you off, I know I'm always calling my pool people saying, "Hey, you need to send somebody over because they didn't get the pool clean right."
Yeah, exactly. That's the part that wasn't the most pleasant. So I essentially scaled out of that as well and sold that business as well right before COVID. So we went through the COVID period, and we decided that we're looking at other areas, and I knew that franchising was it for me. Independent business was kind of just something that I found that it requires so much more because you're starting everything from scratch. In franchising, they're providing you with the name brand, they're providing you with the policies and procedures, the trial and error, they're providing you with all the things that I believe that you need in order to give you that foot up to be successful. So once looking for a new franchise, I decided that, you know what, since I've done this so many years, why not help others navigate this
Okay.
space? And that's how I got it. And I started the franchise executive. The franchise executive is basically a franchise brokerage where I have alliances with over 300 franchises, and
Wow.
I assist people in navigating the space. And number one, finding out if franchising is good for them. And then number two, finding out what kind of model based on their capital requirements, their time commitment is going to be best for them.
What you just said, time commitment, because a lot of people look at franchising as probably an easy way to get into business, but not necessarily so, because like you said, the time commitment. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that is key. Many times what happens is that individuals think that franchise is all about food, quick service restaurants.
Right. That's exactly.
That's it.
And there's so many different.
Oh man, quick service restaurants is probably 10% of the business now.
Okay.
Probably 20, 25 years ago, it was a lot different. But QSRs, quick service restaurants, it's totally different these days. Basically from there, that the other 90% encompasses various industries, electrical, plumbing, AC, internet consulting, even fundraising franchise.
Fundraising franchise?
Fundraising
Really?
franchises.
Talk about that a little bit, because I'm always fundraising. I mean, running a chamber, you're always doing it.
So
talk about that a little bit.
So I represent a company that I have access to a company that does fundraising for high school sports.
Okay.
And one of the things as a franchisee is that you have a preset territory, and in that preset territory, you have X amount of schools that you're able to work with their athletic directors to raise funds for the program.
Okay.
And the way how the franchisee, which is always the next question, is how do I make any money?
Because you're making the money, you're raising the money for the school.
But actually the way how it works is each dollar, a percentage of each dollar goes to the franchisee for the work of raising the funds. Okay. So it becomes a perpetual thing as well, because as you have multiple sports, you have soccer, you have football, you have lacrosse, etc. within those schools, then every time the new year begins, you just start fundraising all over with those parents and adding new parents on them.
Right.
So it's a huge industry. There's huge opportunities there. And to go back to your questions on time commitment, the whole key with time commitment is I work with individuals who are looking for 100% passive, meaning they have a full-time career.
Right.
And they're looking for something in additional. And I mean 100% where it's managed by the corporate. And then we have the individuals who are looking for something just an additional, just a supplement income. And then we have the ones that are looking full-time owner operators. So
right.
Full gamut.
And I know that one of the biggest, and I don't know, I can't sit here and say the fastest growing, but I know the lines are forever. And you probably know what I'm talking about, Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
What I heard is that they give you what, you can own it for 10 years or something like that. Am I right in saying that?
There's a contractual obligation for a certain amount of time period.
Right.
However, what many people don't know is Chick-fil-A is not the standard franchise. You cannot sell back your location. You're an owner operator. So it's almost like a licensee model, which is a little bit different. And there's some other models like that, like Avis does that as well.
Okay.
Hertz, I think, does that as well.
Okay.
So what happens in those models is that you basically become an owner operator. You get a percentage of the net profit, right?
Right.
But the asset is never yours.
Okay.
You can never sell back your Chick-fil-A. Corporate always owns that.
Okay.
The franchises I deal with, the asset is yours. When I had my property and casualty agency, I decided to sell that to whoever I could.
Okay.
And I wanted to. So those are just a little bit nuances. But to add your point, it's a great model because yes, the lines are huge and it's a moneymaker, top moneymaker.
And again, people, I don't think people realize, as you even mentioned the whole thing about nonprofit, having a franchise in a nonprofit or the fundraising arena. Most people think of, again, the fast food, the McDonald's and the Burger Kings of the world. But, you got State Farm, you have a number.
Right.
Talk about some of those underlying businesses that people don't even think about?
Yeah, so the fundraising is definitely one. Digital marketing consulting franchises are available now, which is huge. And any business owner that you deal with has to deal with marketing
Okay.
and digital marketing.
So how does that one work?
So that one works basically as a digital marketing consultant, where basically you have access to multiple vendors that handle, for instance, pay-per-click. They'll handle the SEM, social search engine areas. And then what your job is to be the consultant, is to go and get the business. So
Okay.
you're talking to various businesses, to the electrical business, the plumbing business, about handling their marketing, their digital marketing. And as you're getting that, then you have a vendor on the back end, which the franchisor provides, that does the actual work.
Okay.
And that's a great model as well, because it's a recurring revenue model. And as we know, digital marketing for every business will not change. I do not foresee that changing.
Right.
That's a huge one.
Now, it all sounds, like cake and ice cream. It's exciting.
Right.
You get a franchise. Talk about the other side of franchising.
Right.
The challenging side of it.
Well, there's challenging sides to all businesses. However, the challenging sides to franchise, I think, is first understanding yourself as an individual, and understanding, like we mentioned, time commitment, right? How much time do you really want? Many people, they walk by and they say, well, I want a quick service restaurant because it's making a ton of money. Okay, the next question I ask them when they come to me as a client, I said, well, let me ask you something. Do you want to be on call 24/7? And then they said, well, why would you say that? Well, any restaurant business, the opening hours are from usually 6, like a Chick-fil-A, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. There's prep time prior, and then there's close time after. And you're 6 days on a Chick-fil-A. A standard QSR is going to be 7 days.
Right.
And what happens, even on a Planet Smoothie model, is when your employees decide that they no longer want to show up, who has to go in there? You do. And if you don't, then there's going to be an issue with you not opening your store, which can also backtrack there.
Right.
So understanding who you are and what you want in terms of your time commitment is one. Another thing, understanding you as an individual. How are you? Do you want to be? Are you the type of person that likes networking? Right? There's franchises that are great for that. If you do not like networking, there's going to be other models that are going to be better fit for that. For example, I have a client in Atlanta right now. He's retiring as an educator. And when he came to me and he said, listen, Andre, profit is not necessarily the main focus, but passion is huge for me because I'm a drama teacher and I still want to help out individuals. So I started looking for franchises that I had access to that work within drama in those areas. So he's actually going to be starting next year helping kids in the drama and in that space. So it's not necessarily all about the fast food or the heavy profit, but it could be a huge niche for any individual that's trying to really fulfill their passion.
And you have to excuse me.
No, sure.
With this cough.
I said, no problem.
The other area that's important when it comes to franchising is obviously the cost to enter the market. Talk about that a little bit.
Cost can be a huge barrier for some. However, once again, when you work with someone like myself and my company as a franchise consultant, one of the things that's part of our vetting process, we talk to you about your capital, your liquid capital that you have available, as well as do you have access to, or would you like access to loans? I work with multiple franchise loan companies that assist you with that. So what happens from there is, that I basically able to refer to my partners who work with individuals that do small business administration loans, even rollovers out of retirement accounts. You can actually utilize that to even fund your franchise. And now a new thing that has come up, which is a great opportunity as well. Many people don't know about this, but you can actually have unsecured term loans, fixed interest for a certain amount of period that actually gets you started in your business. So financing, many people see it as a hurdle. However, one of the things I do with my clients is I talk to you first about the capital requirements, and then we kind of understand what kind of franchise is going to be best for you based on that requirement, and then be able to get you in front of the right people to get that capital to start the business.
Right. So what would be some low entry areas when it comes to franchising? Obviously, you hear, and I've heard over the years, owning one McDonald's isn't going to get you there. You have to own multiple.
Right.
But then owning multiple McDonald's first of all, just to get in the door is not, it's not a cakewalk.
Right.
So where would you say the low hanging fruit is versus going to a McDonald's or a Burger King?
Well, that's a great question. So the lowest hanging fruit I would say is going to be probably in that $10,000 range.
Okay.
There's opportunity in the travel space for that. There's consultant, exercise, fitness areas as well. And those are home-based models.
Okay.
So that's where the capital requirement comes down lower. And then, like you mentioned, yes, you can go all the way up into the McDonald's, which are 1.2, 1.3, and then we go all the way up to 4 million. There's internet entertainment complexes for kids. Those huge internet entertainment complexes.
Extreme.
Yes, exactly. Urban Air, all that. Those are 4 million plus. So if you could look at that 10,000 to 4 million, there's a huge amount of opportunity in there. But on average, the average one, you're looking at probably about 125 and less, $125,000 and less.
And what would be in that area?
A huge amount of opportunity. Electrical,
Okay.
plumbing, AC, digital marketing consultant, fitness, you name it. The entertainment, the huge amount of opportunity.
When you say entertainment, talk about that a little bit. That's interesting to me. I have a personal reason, but anyway.
So there's a lot of opportunity there, and then what we're talking about is like children's entertainment. So the children's entertainment area, where basically you are able to host parties for them, and they're educational and that concept. So that's where we find a lot of areas there, because a lot of people nowadays are looking for activities for their children and to keep them entertained. So there's a huge amount of opportunity there, as well as in the tutoring space.
Okay.
And that also lines within that investment range.
Well, it sounds like pretty much any business or idea, obviously, that you may have can be franchised.
That is key. That is true. We also help businesses to become franchises as well.
That side of it. So someone started a business, they have a good niche, no one else is doing it.
Right.
So that's another conversation in itself.
That's a whole nother area. And one of the things we do there with our clients with that is that we talk to them first about, we look at the profitability of the business, because when you're going to franchise the business, you have to ensure that there's enough profit on there that you can still have a royalty and grow the business for your franchisees. So that's whole nother facet of the business. And that's an opportunity that we help people with as well.
Okay. So what we say in this little bit of time we have left, what a person should first start thinking about if they're thinking about getting into a franchise?
Sure. Great question. One of the first things they need to think about is who they're going to work with. Many people don't work with anyone. They talk to family and friends. They see the store, they see the lines, and they don't understand the back end of it, understanding the P&L, the profit and loss statements, understanding the time commitment and the capital requirements. And one of the first things you want to do is talk to someone like myself, the franchise brokerage consultant, that has access to multiple franchises.
Okay. So
that allows me to be unbiased. I don't work for one franchise. I work for multiple, and be able to help them with that.
So how can someone get in touch with you?
Sure. It's my company's www.thefranchiseexecutive.com, or Andre at the Franchise Executive, or 954-604-1830.
Man, this time has gone by too quick. We got to do this again. So this has been the Member Connection, the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time. Today, I stand before you, a proud graduate of Miami-Dade College and the 5th president of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. I'm honored to return to the college that prepared me to become a leader in our community, providing an education second to none. So I'm asking you to please tune in every Monday at 12 noon to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce's Member Connection, as I interview members of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce on our Facebook page at Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce, or our YouTube channel, Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. To learn more about the Chamber, please go to m-dcc.org or call the Chamber at 305-751-8648.